Sigma Asia presents a conversation with Peter Williams, Managing Director, Asia Pacific at Continent 8.
I've been working in the technology, IT industry for 30 plus years, not in gaming originally. So my background is I was general manager for British telecoms operations in Ireland. I ran Cisco systems operations in Ireland, cable and wireless energies, various IT companies, telecoms and so on. And data centers was an area I focused on with British Telecom, and I bumped into a guy by the name of Nick Nally, who was consulting on behalf of the Mohawks, the Canadian Mohawks, well, North American. And they were considering building a data center in Ireland, which never happened. But my introduction to them led to me going to work with Continent 8 Technologies, whose main operation was out of a place called Ganawage, south shore of Montreal, Lawrence River. And many of the online gaming companies, particularly poker, began their businesses there. So PokerStars, Full Tilt. So we grew as a business, Continent 8. I was the first commercial person to come into the company. And we then extended to Isle of Man and Malta as a result of UEGA, which was a law passed in 2006. And from there, we just expanded right across the globe. I would like to say our strategy was well thought out and a lot of brainstorming and planning, but the reality of it was we followed our key clients who needed to expand, such as Microgame, Playtech, OnGame, and those type of companies. Now we're in 100 locations around the world. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I wrote the business plan to expand more in Asia Pacific, came out here to hire a team, put it in place, 12-month temporary relocation. And what a beautiful country compared to the weather in Ireland, where I was based out of before. So I decided to extend one more year, got stuck in pandemic, and I got very used to the Philippines. So I have now reassumed the role as Managing Director for Asia Pacific, and I continue to run the region for Continent 8. Yeah, it's for some of us that have been here this length of time, 6+ years, and my business planning visits, if you like, and engagement with possible partners goes back almost 10 years. If you take yourself back then, it was regulated by an entity called the First Cagayan. There was North Cagayan, there was a PAGCOR, there was a couple of other options available at the time. But North Cagayan was the key regulator for what they called then locators or IGLs, Internet Gaming Licenses. In my opinion, it was quite well regulated. They performed a very thorough and well thought through KYC process, and they stayed very close to their clients. And in the Philippines, I'm not one to try and give an opinion too much on politics here because I'm Irish and I'm a guest in their country. But I am disappointed with the way things have gone, and the reason I would say that is that it was quite well regulated by First Cagayan. When the presidential election happened with Duterte coming into power, as does any new leader, any new senator, or any new congressman, they have their preferences and stuff like that. He handed it to PAGCOR. Ordinarily, that would be fine. If I look at jurisdictions such as the USA as an example, they go to regulate. One of the very first to go was New Jersey. They know that they don't have that kind of experience and knowledge and they haven't lived and walked the talk for all these years. So they go to an ex-regulator from Malta and hire him as a consultant, impart your knowledge to us, guide us, help us how to do this. I think the Philippines made the mistake of not seeking outside help to do that, assuming that this was something that was easy to do. I can't tell you where it went wrong and why it's ended up in POGOs being banned from the country. Now we're all IGLs. But they certainly lost sight of KYC, and there's various other things that happened there. Personally, I'm disappointed for the country itself. I think it was a terrific opportunity to boost GDP. I think all the supporting industries that fell as a result of the POGO collapse is also catastrophic for the country. And I think they downplay the cost economically and also downplay the opportunity that they missed. Does it exist again? Yes, I think it does. And one possible option was there's an area, to take one example, called Bataan. If you don't know the geography of the Philippines, it's okay, so slightly northwest of Manila. And Bataan is a free port, an economic zone, and they tried to set up a little bit like Cagayan did originally, which is a territory way up north, and regulate gaming, but do it properly, proper KYC, specifically probably, no Chinese, unlicensed operators, that kind of stuff, or, whatever territory they may come from. And I thought that was the obvious way to get around this, retain all those jobs, positions, and investment and GDP growth in the country. But various politicians put the government under terrible pressure to basically kill all IGLs. And that for me is a disappointment. I think they are learning better how to regulate POGOs, which is the inland, the national-based operators. And they still have a very good market here. I think they do very, very well. And a lot of these people would like to be facing offshore and would like to expand their businesses. So that, excuse me, that opportunity still exists. And it obviously won't change in this presidential term, maybe the next one, maybe the one after, who knows. But I think if they got the right people in to control the industry effectively, they would have, hugely added to their GDP and made it a very attractive place for inward investment. I would like to see them give it back to somebody like First Cagayan and a PAGCOR. Sorry, POGOs runs is fine. Land-based is all fine under PAGCOR. But I think they're missing a big opportunity offshore. And if they were to go back after the offshore, they need to seek outside help from highly experienced people who know how to do this. And believe it or not, there are many of those people now from the gaming industry that have worked in locations, Malta, Gibraltar, wherever, that are residing here in the Philippines. That expertise is available locally here. So that's what I would like to see happening. I fear it may be too late. And the reason it may be too late is if I'm a businessman and I've now invested in First Cagayan and I lost my investment and I had to reapply to PAGCOR, now I've lost my investment. My staff, I've lost my staff, I've lost my premises. Would I want to do it all over again? Would I invest in future certainty? I'm not sure. KYC. The greatest problem is, again, you won't find any of this stuff published in books or anything like that. It's speculation. It's discussions with other peers in the industry and so on. But there is China are very adamant about the illegality of sports betting. My understanding of the laws in China is that it's illegal for somebody to place a bet. It's not illegal for somebody offshore to offer it. There's no law to cover that I'm aware of. Yet, contradictory, all the main kind of POGOs, a lot of them that are now no longer here, were owned and controlled and invested in by Chinese. What would I like to see change in POGOs? Yeah, I think just the KYC needs to get better. To me, it doesn't matter what nationality beneficial owners come from or who they are, so long as they're, law-abiding, compliance-abiding people. And that's all. The KYC needs to change. Perhaps the underlying political system here and like in any other country is not easy to navigate through, especially as a foreigner. But yeah, I think that they should reinvest in this sector. And I think they probably have a small window where it's not absolutely too late. You have a lot of those people still residing here. Some have already departed. Some are not sure where they should go, temporary locations and so on. But they do need to place their staff somewhere where they know that they're going to be safe and they're not going to have their office kind of turned inside out or whatever. And again, it all points back to the same thing, effective KYC. So, it's a funny one with the emerging markets. You hear Vietnam, you hear Myanmar in the past, you hear Cambodia, you hear all of these locations. But again, I would say they're even in a greater level of uncertainty than the Philippines. So if you like, to me, there still exists a huge opportunity for a gaming hub, such as, say, Malta's of Europe, right, for Asia. And I don't see any of those that have emerged yet. I think what countries have done is they are running admin and supporting, functions of to support their business. Location of gaming service and stuff is a whole different thing. I don't think people would even would want to have them here. But certainly, they're picking countries that are safe and welcoming of inward investment and foreigners. Vietnam is a very good example. Sri Lanka is a good example. Perhaps one of these countries could step up to regulate gaming. There are cultural, there are, religious differences and all that kind of stuff that maybe stand in the way. But I wouldn't pick any one particularly that I think would be next. But if I had to pick the most suitable country, in my opinion, it would probably be Vietnam if they wanted to do it. It's a very safe environment. It's very welcoming for inward investment. It's a pity because the Philippines had the best opportunity because they're highly educated, bilingual. Um, you know, this would have been the best place. So yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't pick one out in particular, but Thailand is another one that's maybe getting very close to it. I don't know what the regulations will look like there, but I'd say Thailand or Vietnam would probably be the next best option. I honestly not sure I can see the United Arab Emirates doing it, but um, you know, personally as a UAE resident, they are obviously one of the most welcoming countries in the world for inward investment. They are very stringent about KYC. Um, I mean, from Ireland, I just noticed only last week they extradited a guy back to Ireland. It's one of the first times this has ever happened. But they're making a very clear message that, we don't want dodgy people just relocating here to hide money or hide from crime. Um, but I think the UAE would definitely be a great location, but I think the cultural background of the people of the UAE maybe would not be too welcoming of it. When I talk about other emerging markets, closer to Asia, I'm not so sure where. Um, you have a whole load of implications around latency, around production servers, and where it's safe, where it's not. In South America, Brazil is obviously a big uh, uh, talk of the town at the moment. From Continent Eight's perspective, we have already added services down to Brazil, Argentina, Venezuela, Bolivia, and we will continue to expand as markets emerge, both for just basic services or for full regulated environments. And as far as replacing in Asia, a hub in Asia, yeah, UAE has been talked about at the moment. We've even heard of some gaming companies that have located functions to the UAE in anticipation of something happening. I've not had any clear picture of something actually being happening, apart from, I believe, Thailand. Thailand is at the second level of approval for the bill going through Parliament or whatever it might be. So I think that will probably come first. UAE, in my own opinion, I don't think so. Yeah, well, look, here's the thought, right? And I don't mean this to come across as a sales pitch for Continent 8, but we have a location in a place called Ganawage, which is in the Mohawk territory, which means it is not part of the United States or Canada, and it does not come under the law's jurisdiction or control of either of these either. And the reason I say this is because the Ganawage license allows you to trade everywhere and anywhere where it might be grey or where you don't need a reciprocal license. For example, a GSC in the United Kingdom. You can have a Ganawage license, Kanawake, easier to call it, but you would also need a UK license. You want to trade in France, you always need a French license. But for a lot of South America and these emerging markets, the KGC license is a very suitable license. Their KYC is quite stringent, which is a good thing, right? But they're not so hell-bent on server location. If you can show that it's been done the right way, you can continue to target all those grey markets as they're emerging. And I'm anticipating that you would then secure a license in each of those markets and carry on, kind of the way it was done with the Malta license originally. Now, if you compare that to the United States, each state individually is treating itself as like an own independent country. That comes from a people, from a server, from a player perspective, from everything. I think South America is probably going to be a lot more open the way Malta would have been with Europe before, for a little while yet. And then they realize how much money they can make on this gaming thing. And of course, then they will try and bring more and more of it in. And what I like about South America is they are looking to people that have had the experience from the past of launching regulation in new jurisdictions. So I believe they will do it right. And Brazil obviously is 60 million people or something. It's a good market to start with. But yes, we are active. We are taking services now in Colombia, Venezuela, Brazil, Argentina. So we are expanding very quickly across South America as well.